we're back with more questions off the internet.
Woohoo!
Today we got one, says, "Hi guys, I've always wondered why the perforated patterns on the outside of Diana's aren't symmetrical. Why is it off-center and pushed towards one corner? Is it for acoustic reasons, or is it for the user to more quickly identify left and right? It's a thing of beauty, but it drives my OCD mad every time I look at it."
No way.
Would really appreciate your response on this.
It shouldn't affect your OCD.
Well,
Because it sounds damn good, so what are you OCDing about, right?
Yeah, I understand that. It does seem strange to have the whole pattern offset because you don't see that on a lot of other headphones.
You know, whose fault was that? I forget. Was it yours?
It's my fault.
It wasn't mine?
Well, see, it was kind of your fault.
I think someone started. It might have been me.
It needed to be
Did you
that
have anything
way.
to do with it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so it's all, okay, we'll all equally take the blame. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and we'll put the .001 to somebody.
Douglas.
Okay, Dougie. Yeah, he wasn't even around.
Oh,
when
he
we did
wasn't
that.
here.
Yeah. So we'll toss that one up to dumb luck.
So the reasoning behind it, most other headphones you see, they have a symmetrical hole pattern mainly for aesthetics, not typically acoustics. They either don't verify whether or not the holes are functional or don't care, and they just do it so it's symmetrical. But internally, it's a very different structure from what we have. This pattern needs to be asymmetrical like this because of how it's manufactured.
Yeah, it's a packaging problem.
Inside, there's structure here
Lack of space.
because this is a unibody construction, you might say, and there's components that are retained by this structure, which is very atypical. If you drill holes through here, you drill into the stuff, and there's like connectors and PCBs and spring contacts.
You drill into the place where the stuff goes.
Yeah, right. So you don't want that. It wouldn't go anywhere. There would be stuff right there.
Well, and there's no sound being produced there anyways.
Right.
Yeah, the driver is actually behind the more open-looking area, obviously. And outside of that, there is no driven area of the driver. And
but the whole pattern is actually slightly larger than the driven area of the diaphragm.
Yeah.
So it's already a bit unnecessarily excessively sized. There's no real downside to that. But it's about as open as it can be while still retaining the electrical contacts and the connector for the functionality. But usually you wouldn't see something like that because usually there's separate structures on the inside that hold these things, or they're done in a different way. With us, we're doing it with one part because why not? We already have a precision machine part that could hold these components in place, saves weight, makes it more reliable and easier assembly.
well, as one reviewer put it, we shoehorned a 1266 driver into a Diana.
Yeah, and that was one of the compromises.
Yeah.
Offset.
Well, it's not a compromise.
It's not a compromise, but yeah, it's just.
I mean, you think about it. It's like that's where the magnet structure fits. It has to go up in there, and acoustically, it doesn't. Acoustically, it's sound. We've obviously worked on that a long time. So the acoustics with the ear pads and so on are set for the driver to be positioned in that location.
Yeah, of course.
So it's nothing to worry about. It was meant to be. It was designed that way.
Well, it kind of has to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
The trouble is with Diana, as it's designed, if we wanted it to have a symmetrical hole pattern, have the driver centered, the physical housing would need to be larger. That's just the only way. And then there would be less space utilized. There would be more wasted area, which is pointless. On this product, there's really no advantage to that. So we decided to make it smaller and have it slightly offset because it doesn't impact the performance at all, and it's smaller and lighter.
Well, I do know of another example of this happening, though, in another product. Apple does it on the MacBook Pros. The actual opening is like one little circle like this, but they have holes all the way across both sides.
Yeah.
But if you look, it's only like this much are actual holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to tell. They hide it well, but
It's dimpled like this.
yeah, they're just not drilled all the way through.
Yeah. That's true. If someone didn't actually own this, maybe they don't realize that even though we have the Fibonacci pattern here, which no one mentioned yet here for some reason, including the engineer here, but because the Fibonacci pattern, it encompasses the whole surface of that exterior. Only the portion where the driver is behind it is actually drilled through. So maybe it's hard to see in some of the photography and so on, but technically speaking, right, the portion down below there doesn't go through. It's dimpled. The drill bit is partially in to maintain the pattern, but there's no holes through, so no sound is emanating from that particular region, because that's where the connections and those sockets and so on are. So anyway,
One other thing with this offset hole pattern is it pushes the driver forward. We have it rotated at a 45-degree angle as well. So that makes, relative to the center position of the ear pad on your ear, it pushes the driver slightly forward and up. And that does give some acoustic adjustments or benefits. It changes the sound tonally a little bit. It's not quite dramatic, but
well, from where you would normally be, say if the driver was centered on your ear, and assuming the acoustic center of the driver is where you want to be listening from, which isn't necessarily the case. It depends on the back wave and how your reflections are going inside and the depth of the ear pad. And so, yeah, there's a lot of variables with that, right?
yeah, but with our driver, it helps make the placement less critical and sensitive with the this existing placement relative to it being centered.
Yeah.
That's really the main appeal. The idea with this compared to 1266 was to make it so it fits on your head and there's really no adjustment necessary, unlike 1266 where it's more or less made to be tailored to how you want to listen, and there's a range of adjustments.
Yeah, you could toe
This
it
is-
in, toe it out.
Right, and it changes the sound.
Yeah,
And
totally.
Yes.
Not everyone wants that. So
No.
for a product like Diana, we figure it's much more likely people are just going to plop on your head and fit closer to a conventional headphone.
And we should just too say with Diana, you can adjust the sound. If you move it about your head, you do change the acoustic perspective. You're changing where your ear is picking up the sound inside the cups.
Yep. I mean, it's just like the 1266,
Yeah,
except
just-
the fit's different.
Yeah, and it varies less.
Yeah.
There's less of a variation because you're not allowed to like space it out away from
Yeah,
your
you'd have
ears,
to hold it
create
or
gaps.
something.
Yeah, you could try that.
Yeah, you
it
could do
actually
it.
works pretty good. Some people have actually done it.
Yeah.
Haven't they stuck something?
Yeah.
The guys that
Yeah.
wear glasses say they're actually creating a gap with their glasses because
Yeah.
Diana's spread out, and they actually like that. Which because once again you're kind of giving a little hump in the bottom and giving a little artificial bump in the base.
I guess it really just comes down to design. We design it to be as small, thin, as light as possible. And so for that, we wanted one part to do as many functions as possible. And that means no additional structure on the inside to hold the electrical contacts and the input connector. It's all done from the actual structure you see there. And that makes sense to me, of course, because this is a very rigid, precise structure. Why not have it do that rather than having some other thing internally glued in or screwed in or adhered somehow do that? Makes sense to do all you can with that frame. It's strong, it's light, it's rigid, makes a lot of sense.
Well, there was no reason to make it larger just for the sake of centering a driver.
Right.
Right.
There's just
Not a
no
lot of
need.
benefit there.
We didn't need to do that in order to make the proper acoustics. So
Yeah, it doesn't really
we
change the sound.
figured it out.
Yeah.
We figured it out without having to do that.
Yeah, it's tuned to be like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it works pretty well like that. And it's a lot less sensitive to placement than 1266, which was the goal.
And it's not to negate the fact that it was complicated to do so. We worked on that a long time.
Oh, it took
you know?
years.
Yeah.
In fact, the original prototypes were a symmetrical
They were
pattern.
symmetrical.
You know, they were just
Yeah.
straight line holes. You know, so yeah, it took a long time to
We
get
had a
rid of it.
vertical slot pattern with the center driver.
Yeah,
Then we started moving things around.
yeah,
We finally came across this guy,
yeah.
the angled up in the corner approach with a very different hole pattern from what we started out with. But it works well.
Yeah, it
Gives
was
us
a
the tuning we
and it
need.
was a great learning process because we understood how to do a very small, world's thinnest pointer driver in a headphone and get really good acoustic out of it. So it was a pretty good learning curve on that one.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we still have those.
That's why you don't
originals.
see. Sorry.
The original frames. We still have them. I look at them from time to time.
Yeah.
The symmetrical ones is like came a long way since
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Yeah, the
Yeah.
original prototypes and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, but all in all, it's a pretty cool headphone.
Yeah. Well, sorry if it triggers your OCD, but
Yeah.
it's designed to be like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not designed to trigger OCD, but it's designed to be small, light, and high performance.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's a side effect of it, I guess.
People like
I
it.
could live with it.
Yeah. People like
You get
Diana.
used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something had to make Diana original. She had to be unique.
If anyone out there has a question they'd like us to answer in a future episode, you could send it to us at totl@abyssheadphones.com, and maybe we'll answer it. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.